Hello everybody, my name is BJ Spencer. I'm here with my guest Cori today, and we're going to talk about generosity. It's one thing that's been on my heart a lot. And so a couple of things I wanted to ponder here is that how can someone who is hanging by a thread economically, having so little money and possessions, still be happy, confident, so full of joy, generous, and so willing to share? That's right. Why are some people more generous than others? Why do people who have less give more? And what motivates people to be generous? Are generous people just the product of their environment, or are there other factors that play a role that are beyond our understanding? Could generosity be motivated by a spiritual force, or does it just come naturally? These are some questions we're going to dive into today, and in the next few video casts, audio casts over the next few weeks. But today I'm here with my friend Cori. She's going to talk a little bit about generosity and her experience, and I've just kind of given her free reign today. So this is episode 1. And so, Cori, how you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me, BJ.
Oh, you are welcome. You'll move that laptop out of the way.
I just was really excited that you invited me, and I love the topic. I think that a lot of times the first thing you think of with generosity is money. Mm-hmm. But I think it comes in other forms, like you can be generous of time and service and just giving of yourself. It doesn't have to be money. So, and then I guess I was really excited also because I felt like generosity is something that if you do it for the right reasons, like we've all done things and you get pat on the back and that feels good, so then you feel encouraged to do it again, but then also just a better reward or something greater down the road. So and my dad said, don't give for your reward to be seen by men, because that's fleeting and that's right then. But then the Bible says that if you give, I'll reward what is unseen. So
I believe that. I definitely believe that. I think, a lot of people, well, in our culture today, you see it a lot. People are giving it in their video and them giving to people, or they're boasting about it on social media. And honestly, that I think that helps people.
In a way too, yeah.
In a way, but I also feel like, like it says in the Bible, when you give, don't tell people that you're giving. Don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. Just because I think it becomes more about you and less about what you're doing and helping that person. And also too, if the person finds out that you've done that, it makes them feel used. What are you using me for? Why?
Or embarrassed too.
Yeah.
Maybe. So receiving also is another aspect of it, because sometimes it can be hard to receive, and we all need help sometimes. So I feel like whether it's encouragement or a little financial help or another good piece of advice, just kind of from childhood, it popped into my mind when I thought of generosity was, it was really good advice, although I still had to learn the hard way. But don't give in the hopes that it'll be returned to you. Even if someone says, I'll pay you back, or, they borrow something or they borrow money, you never know what might happen, that they could just fall on hard times, or it gets lost, broken, stolen. They get sick, so you never know what's going on in someone else's life, and you never want to give and then you have that grudge that you because you expected it back, or you expected something back.
Right. Yeah, I think one thing, me and Cori, we used to work together. So we worked at a place called North Texas Youth Connection. Cori, how long did you work there?
I don't really remember. I think it was about 2 years. Two
years, yeah. And you worked part-time?
Just part-time, yeah.
Unless they really needed you and then you were there. I'd be like, Cori, you're still here?
No, BJ was the one that, it was really inspiring, because I think some people might have thought, oh, I gave a lot of stuff or whatever to the shelter, but actually people like BJ that gave a lot of their time and attention to the kids, and just encouragement, and really got down on their level and really played and really just went that extra mile. I feel like that was what changes lives and helps really could send your life in a different trajectory. You might have come from a lot and you're still dealing with a lot, but just having someone that can kind of relate to you and that was very, I can't put it in words because I just think some people are just better with kids and encouragement.
Yeah, yeah. Either I was better with kids or I was, insane.
Always playing and just jovial, but also just giving people a good, I feel like, good advice. It was still good, encouragement, advice, mentorship, whatever you want to call it.
I appreciate that, I do, but I do feel like, Cori is probably one of the most generous people that I know, just because of the stuff. I know you don't want the credit on you, but I'm giving you the credit. So, but and it wasn't just because of, like she told me about me being there and giving them time. I think what one thing I heard was they were like, Cori would take time out of her day, because of her faith and because of her belief in God and how she wanted to help people, and you wanted to be light to them and always just wanted to make their life better. It was never about making Cori feel better. It was more about helping them. She would give of herself. And so she would, literally work there and give her whole paycheck to these kids. And I just remember a story once where they came in there and they were like, the kids are all like, where's Cori? Where's she at? We want Cori, because you were helping them out and you were giving Cori, and Jody, a coworker of mine, had to explain that she works here just so that she can give to these kids and can bless these kids and she can help them and she can do things for them that maybe they don't get, provide opportunities for them. And I think that was awesome what you did there, because you didn't have to. You would even tell us like, I have a full-time job, I'm just here to help, and I think that was cool, and I know it made a difference. A lot of those kids after you left were, they were sad you were gone. They were, where's Cori? They wanted you to be there. And I don't think it was just because of what you gave. I think it's because they saw your heart. Because people give them stuff all the time. They had family members. They give them items and make promises. But they just saw you. They knew after a while that you worked with them, and when you were working with them, you were doing it because you just wanted to bless them. You wanted to make them feel special. And it was genuine. I think they could, because them kids could tell if you were not being genuine, and they'd call you out on it, and they knew you were genuine. So
thank you. Well, praise God. If there's any good in me, it's only because Jesus has been good to me and shown me grace and mercy and helped me along the way through other people. So I feel like we all help each other. It's a ripple effect. And I know it's not good to just think like rewards, but I think everything is kind of either rewards or punishment in a way. But it says like in the Bible, if you give, you cast your bread upon the water, it'll come back to you. And even if that's just with a full heart, that you really feel. But yeah, I feel like there's really good examples. One that was inspiring to me when I was younger was the story of Tabitha in the Bible, where she. The disciples, when she had died, Peter was standing there, and all these people, even though she was a poor woman in Joppa, the Bible doesn't give a whole lot of detail. When she died, there was all these garments and things that people were showing that she sewed these things for the poor. So she was not wealthy herself, but yet she gave of her time and her talents. And so I felt like, oh, this is a really good example. And then there was the little boy with the fish and the loaves, where Jesus, I think he multiplied it like thousands of, it's a miracle. Yeah. But first it was a little kid giving up his lunch, so he had faith,
Right, yeah.
And you don't know, maybe he thought he was just going to give it, and maybe they were going to divide it up in little tiny pieces or what.
Give
I don't know.
It,
but
so he could survive another hour.
He still gave his lunch. So I felt like it doesn't really matter our age. It doesn't matter our socioeconomic status. And we shouldn't do things just to get things in return.
Well, when it says the scripture to be a lender and not a borrower, and that people, there's so many scriptures that go out there to just say that when you're giving, to do that, just give. And basically give and forget about it.
Yeah,
and that's hard.
Interest. I know.
That whole saying, if you can't afford to lose it, don't give it. And I think you should live that way too. If you can't, if someone needs $400 and $400 is all you got, and you're like, man, I'm gonna be broke unless you're being led to do that. Don't give the $400, but do it genuinely. Be a cheerful giver. Help someone out. But I also feel like sometimes when you make some sacrifices like that, that it does come back to you. And I found in my life, and I'm sure you have too. You've done those things, and it may not come back financially, and you're not expecting it to come back, but you give, and sometimes it does come back when you need it. Generous people never. This is a funny thing. A lot of times, some generous people, they never seem to be like without. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that some don't. Some make unwise decisions and they end up in places. But I've noticed that generous people, they may not have the money, but they seem to be happier. Yeah. It makes them happier, makes them feel good.
Well, just like the love of money, I think that's why it says like you can't serve like God and mammon. You can't have two gods basically. And poor or rich people can have that love for money, where you never have enough, you're never satisfied.
Right.
So some of the wealthiest people, in my opinion, that I've met have also been some of the most miserable. Like just that if that's all you're chasing is like money and more things. Oh no, there's a bite. And you love it, but then you can never. You can always. Yellows. You can always spend more too. So.
There's the yellows.
They're the yellows. We have an off-camera guest with us today. She's having fun over there. Tabitha is her name. So, hi, Tabitha.
She's 3. She's learning how to give as well and share, and it's all a learning process for all of us.
That's right.
Even when you're older, you have to remember sometimes it's hard to share. You feel like mine.
It's mine. It's mine.
And so, maybe when we were more of an agrarian society, sometimes it does feel like when you didn't grow the grapes, you didn't.
Ooh, there's another one.
You didn't do all of the stuff that you didn't dig the well. You just have this stuff, and you get a paycheck, and you just sort of feel like this is my money. I earned it.
Right.
I'm not a slacker or lazy, because it does talk about being lazy or slothful in the Bible too. But also one thing that I looked up recently that really spoke to me in another ministry was about
it's over cat.
Being diligent and planning in your spending also. Not just that you try really hard to earn a living and then to give just a little bit off the top, but also just how you spend in general and how diligent you are and self-control, because I know I need to work on that.
Get it.
Especially eating out and things like that, or junk food. I was just noticing a real habit that I was like, oh, this is. It's so easy to grow character, to grow habits.
Oh yeah, you get
good or bad. Though,
you get busy too, and you can get stuck in a rut, and you don't even know, and then you look up, and you're like, oh crap, dang,
yes. Where did all that money go?
Wow, where did all that money go? Or why do I have all these extra pounds?
That's exactly.
That's the way I look at it. It's like, oh dang, but little things can cut into that.
That's what my aunt said, and it also says to seek wise counsel. And one of my aunts had really worked hard all her life, and that was one of her advice that she told me to. Sometimes it's not the big purchases; it's a lot of little things.
Yeah.
So just really watch those little things, and if you save and you're diligent, then you'll have more to give. You'll be more of a blessing. You'll be able to be more of a blessing if you try to invest wisely.
Really hot.
So there could be a lot to say about frugality, being frugal.
That's what she was trying to say.
Yeah, you want that. Well, we live in such a microwave society too. People just want it, man. Give it to me right now. Give it to me right now, and then they don't. But man, when you save up for it and you're able to pay it off, you just feel good. You're like, oh. As with when it's given to you and it just falls in your lap sometimes. I mean, I'm not saying that's not great, but sometimes you just kind of lose the value of it. You're like, I didn't really work for this. It just kind of came to me,
Well, and they said one time, I forgot who said this, but something you said just made me think of it. Sometimes greedy don't mind that they're taking it from the weak or others, but generous are wanting to give. They want to be like the one to help someone else up the steps too.
Yeah.
Not just see themselves succeed, but others, and they don't want to take it from anyone. In fact, they have the opposite intention. It's to grow themselves and grow an income and wealth, but to share it.
Yeah.
And they have more of a
because there are a lot intention. There are wealthy people that that people forget about, that do things in secret and no one knows about them, and they help people. And I think that's because they've realized, like, doing it in secret, they're not looking for a reward from people, you know. And I've seen some of the wealthiest people, you wouldn't even know they're wealthy. They dress down, they drive beat up trucks, you know, and it's just it's just who they are. And you compliment them on that. They're not trying to prove it to anybody. It's like, I already know I'm wealthy. I don't got to prove to anybody I have money, you know.
Trying to help others and still act just
and still be a normal, and and know where they came from. As some people say, know where you come from. So, I'm gonna go through a few questions here with you. So, I know. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? About as in like, what do you do for a living?
Okay. Well, I was born and raised in Texas. I've had odd jobs my whole life. I was in the hospital though for a little while when I was young, and I just remember, oh, the nurses were so nice. So I always wanted to be a nurse. And
that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I felt like God put that on my heart when I was young, and so that's a lesson, a life lesson, that sometimes it feels like suffering in the moment, but sometimes God has something better down the road. He'll make beauty from ashes, as you said one time.
Yeah.
So I really tried my best. I think it wasn't until later in life, maybe God was trying to build patience and perseverance and character and hope, all the things that we can gain from suffering. But I went back to school, and God helped me. I always wanted to be in the operating room, which that wasn't originally what all that I thought it would be. I think it was another life lesson that sometimes you idolize something, you think these people are angelic and it's this miraculous thing, but I think if anything it did make me believe in miracles a lot more though. So I think I just felt like there were things that we couldn't explain. There's like people that lived that you thought would die, and vice versa. So some of the things I saw were amazing. Don't get me wrong, if I get in a car accident out here, I don't want to go to the health food store. I want to go to the hospital. But
yeah, of course.
I just do feel like there's some things that, you know, unexplainable, just miraculous things.
Yeah.
That,
you can't. The doctors can't even explain. It's just things that happen, and they're like, well, we don't even know why this happened. This is impossible.
Yep. So the OR wasn't the right path for me, and I took several nursing paths after that. But that was a good thing about healthcare, that you can be kind of flexible sometimes and have other opportunities. Yeah,
that's cool. That's cool. So what is your job right now? What's the job title that you have?
I am a med-surg nurse right now.
A med-surg
floor, so just like a regular, like most of our patients they've just had surgery, but some of them are just.
And what company you work for now?
I work at UT Southwestern.
UT Southwestern, okay. Where's that at?
In Dallas.
In Dallas, okay. That's so you drive from Sherman to Dallas?
I know. Everyone says that, and it's like, you know what? Don't feel sorry for me. I'm not forced labor. I'm not trafficked,
right.
You know. So there's a lot of people out there that really that need help, and I feel like there's some really good organizations out there that if you can't give up your time, that was another thing that I wanted to mention, and I'm probably cutting it.
No, you're good. You're good, bro.
But there's organizations like AIM or Agape missions that help rescue like people from sex trafficking.
It's a big thing.
There's an underground railroad. I think that Shared Hope. There's just several that are doing really good things to help. So I think a lot of people think of slavery as something that used to happen, but it's actually happening now. So
yeah, they said there's more slaves now than there ever was throughout all human history, which I think is crazy to me. You know, because they don't count that 50% of those are sex slaves. People that are being trafficked. It's sad.
Yeah, horribly tragic. So I think every day.
And you don't know who's involved in it either. That's what's crazy. There's high-profile people involved in it.
Yeah.
Which we won't get into today.
Yeah,
but,
sorry.
No. I mean, we won't get into the high-profile people, but that we believe are involved in it. But that it is a sad thing going on. But yeah, so that a little bit about your, what you do for a living, your background. So like now that you're in that nursing field, what are some of your passions and goals right now? What do you want to do now?
I just feel like sometimes we feel like it has to be on this like grand scale or big plans, but really it's just everyday people you meet. Like everywhere, anywhere. I do feel like God's given me a unique opportunity to encourage people when they're dying or they're sick.
Oh, that's cool.
Financially, sometimes they're just in their worst place in life. They can have like financial disasters, or their family is falling apart. Health is making you just feel very vulnerable, and you. It's hard to describe, but I feel like you're faced with mortality almost. It's like you have nothing else to do but sit in the room and think for a while. I mean, people are in and out, but a lot of times it's when people really start thinking about, like, is there anything after this, and things like, how did I spend my life? What are my regrets? And so you get that unique moment that you get to spend sometimes. And sometimes we're so busy we can't have a long conversation, but I think that you can still always plant those seeds of encouragement, of change, or repentance, that God does hear you, He does love you, you're not alone. That just a lot of people feel a lot of guilt and shame for things in their past. You need to forgive yourself and others. It's just part of healing physically too. So not just for us, because I feel like forgiveness is more about it's not about going and being in an abusive situation or letting anyone walk all over you, but it's more about just trying to leave the past in the past and not raise your stomach acid, your blood pressure.
Right, yeah, all those things, yeah.
I think there's unmeasurable things too, like that we just don't even take into account. That so forgiveness and just love and forgiveness of ourselves too. Sometimes that's the biggest thing. We feel like there's things that we carry around that God couldn't possibly forgive, and He can. Sometimes we don't want to accept it,
right?
And then just to move on. I think that's the lie. Yeah. The part of the lie of the enemy is he wants you to believe that you've just gone too far. You can't go back. You can't change your life. Just keep doing it because.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah. You're too far now. Too far gone.
Yeah.
Too many years have passed.
So it's never too late.
I always think about, and this is something kind of off topic, was talking about being never too late. I always think that about when I ran a half marathon years ago. I had a good friend of mine that got me to run. I was not a runner, and I ended up doing a half marathon, training to do one. And I was like, wow, I actually did it. I remember I finished, and I was waiting for him. He was running an ultra, so he was running 30 miles plus. And so I was waiting for him, and then I heard them say on the intercom, here comes, and they said this guy's name, and he was 75 years old, and he'd already run 20 marathons, and he didn't start till he was 60.
Wow.
And
yeah, that's amazing.
And when I heard that, I was like, I got no more excuses. Here's this guy, he's like 75, and he's run 20 marathons, and he started when he was 60 years old.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, like you're saying, that makes me think of that
in a positive way.
Like, hey, you're never too old, you're never too late. That is a lie from the enemy. He tries to tell you that stuff that, what if your purpose is something that you're going to do that's not going to happen till you're in your 60s or 70s, what you're really going to do, so. How you doing over there?
You okay?
You good?
If you need your water or your juice, or if you need to go potty, just let me know, okay?
Yeah, because we can stop and start again. So,
okay.
Yeah, we don't have to go straight through. So, but, so why do you, I'll just ask a few questions too, just some things I've thought about. Why do you think that people that are, who have less give more?
I have heard this, and I mean, it may be a stereotype, but it is.
Yeah, it could be a
right.
stereotype.
Statistically, because I've heard like the red kettles in front of like Walmarts do better than like the people that are asking for money at like Neiman's or in front of the higher end places. So, but I still think it has to do with the heart. But I guess too, maybe they feel like a lot of people have given to them, or. The Bible does have a lot of examples of just generosity even when you didn't have much, like the widow that gave the coin, and just feeling. There was a church too. the name escapes me at the moment, but an example that even though they had a lot of financial hardships, they still gave generously, more than, and they said we want to further the ministry. So yeah, just amazing examples of people that gave even though they had little, and God can magnify it so many more times. So sometimes we feel like we're not doing much, but that might lead to so many other things you don't know, like a ripple effect.
Yeah. I didn't ask that question just because it was like something off the. I actually read an article recently, which I will talk about in a future audio cast. Is that that actually statistically, it was a statistic that I read that said that they did some research, and they showed that people that have less give more, that's why I asked that question, but also I think that's not, it can be, it can be the other way, too. So
no, but I think it's a good observation too,
yeah.
And it's a good thing to remember, because I feel like, well, I think there's something about it's easier to enter for a rich man to enter the eye of a needle than, or something about
I know
a
the
camel,
scripture you're talking about.
A camel to enter the eye of a needle.
You got it.
Than, for a rich man to enter the kingdom. Just being that we might start relying more, like it's dangerous in life to really feel like I made myself, because we can all lose everything tomorrow. There may be something just beyond our control, whether it's health or just a devastating financial setback that you didn't even see coming, and you never know. So I guess just to rely on yourself and to think that I have to save myself, I have to fix myself, and I have to have all this money, and then I need more and more and more, because there's always these reasons and these things that you could see coming, and we just have to trust God that'll save us. Not to say that you don't plan also, because it does talk about that a lot in Proverbs, that the wise man sees danger and plans, and to plan accordingly, like the person who set out to build a house, but they didn't have enough, so they
you can want to build a house, but if you don't bring no wood, I'm going to build this house, Lord. Well, you need wood. You need resources. Yeah. So.
Yeah, just.
Cool. Well, all right. So also too, you went into this a little bit, but what motivates you? I mean, you talked about your faith. Definitely is one of those things. What motivates you to be generous? Like when you think about, you've talked about a little bit about it, but when you think about being generous, like when you get up and you think, I want to be generous, what are some things that motivate you, or feelings that motivate you, or ideas or thoughts?
Yeah, so many things.
Chapter 1.
I know. But I think there was a lot of little things growing up. Like, I know there was a nice lady at church that used to always encourage me. And I remember just thinking, like, I still think about her. And I was a little, I was really little. She was very nice, very encouraging, very sweet lady. And then I think about, like, just people that gave of their time and money when they didn't have to. And then it says in the Bible that you'll know my people because they have love for one another. And
such a good scripture.
Yeah, and also just that to give to the orphan and the widow and those that can't pay you back. Like, and somehow that is just so much more rewarding. I can't explain it, but it's like, what would you want done for you? And so that's kind of.
So there's some selflessness there that kind of motivates you to do that. But
he says, just to lose your life for him, and that's also in service. Like you can give and give and give, and we can all do better. I'm not perfect. I
know.
I definitely have made my mistakes, and I could, I've done better. I could do better, and I will do better. And every day is a new day and a fresh start, and every day is something different too. So, but just trying not to lose sight of the big picture. Like, how do you want to look back on your life? So.
Right. Yeah.
And how do you want to go out?
Right. Well, laying up treasures in heaven. I mean, so many people. What is the motivation for generosity? Why are people giving? Is it to be seen of men? And he said, the poor you have among you always. They're always there. I could think about going to, like, when I go out and work at night, I can think about going to the store and there's always, you know, a homeless person there. There's always someone there, you know, and sometimes you're just like, sometimes, you know, I know people say, well, man, them people are homeless or not that, but I also feel like they're gonna, you know, they're gonna waste their money on alcohol, or they're gonna do, you know, they're gonna spend it on drugs. But I'm also like, but really, who are you giving to? You know, if you give to that person, if you're giving to them and you're thinking they're gonna do like they're gonna do something, I mean, what's that to you? That's the kind of way that I feel it. You know, sometimes it's just give to them, you know, and then you're giving selflessly if you think that they're gonna waste it, or they're, you know, you can use a little wisdom in that. But sometimes you never know the difference you might make in their lives, and if they remember you, and that could open up a door to you to help get them out of that situation, you know.
I remember something you said made me think of it, because I remember my dad. I gave money one time to someone who it was a $1 or something, it wasn't even much, but I was like, it made me cry, and I was like, I think something's wrong with me, because but I was like, no, it's good. You know, the Bible says if you said to give, but also to be wise. And I think there's signs now in Dallas, which didn't used to be up. I've noticed a couple of them that say something to the effect of not having to give. Don't feel pressured to give to a panhandler. In fact, give to the solution. So like some organizations that help people get back on their feet.
You got to have your boundaries too. You need to have boundaries with people. There was one lady in particular, you know, and I've also talked to my nephew and niece about trying to go out and reach out to, because I think it's values they need to know to give without any, you're not getting anything back, you're just giving, because it makes you feel good. And I think it's because it's just the way you're made. You're created to give, you're created to receive, and you're created to give. And if you don't do that, if you're always doing one thing, you're going to be unhappy. And you see that with, like we talked about, like wealthy people. They're so wealthy but they're unhappy, and it's because not all of them, I'm just saying there are people, it's because they're not, they've taken they're being poured into, but the water's getting stagnant, you know, and they're not pouring back out again. And it's supposed to be a flow, you know. The reason you got all this money, and God has allowed you to have all this money, is because He wants you to do something with it. There's a purpose to it. And the reason you are rich, because some people get rich just because it just comes to them. There's a reason you are, you know. But everybody, you know, it's like being given a seed, you know. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to bury it in the ground, or are you going to try to multiply it, you know? So, but I think about this one lady where she was homeless. Obviously there's some mental illness or something going on. She never asked for money. She sleeps outside, you know, around the garbage can over there, and it's sad, you know, and she wears the same clothes. And they asked to help her, and she says, she won't come up to people and ask for money. She said, I don't want any money or anything. She said, I could use something to eat or drink, and they give her stuff. And then one of the guys was like, I want to help her out with some clothes, you know. And so she said, he asked her, he's like, Eva, he was very respectful. I don't mean to offend you, but do you need some clothes? She said, I could use some clothes. And he gave her clothes. He said, my wife's got extra clothes, and they gave her. And she was wearing those clothes the next day. And he said she never asked for money. And it's like, there's something going on with this lady. Something has happened to her to put her in this state where she thinks it's better for her to live on the sidewalk and be outside and exposed to the element than it is to have a normal life, you know. So that's what makes my heart break for some of those people, because you realize they're out there for a reason. Something traumatic has happened to them. There's something.
You never know what somebody else has been through.
Yeah, you never know. And then there's some that are definitely taking advantage of the system and just trying to feed an addiction, you know. But they still have stuff going on inside of them. So you have to I always think about, I'm still going to treat them like a human being. I'm not going to treat them any lower than they are now. So,
well, there was sometimes I too feel like maybe people are placed in your path for a reason. Maybe you were supposed to get your mind off yourself that day or something.
Right.
So, and you know, like I think maybe some of us have been at the gas station. Someone asks you for money, and then I remember the one time thinking, well, I just have my card. How about I buy you $10 worth of gas? And I'll try to do that for you, because I don't have any cash. They were asking for cash. And they were like, never mind. And then you see them drive off. So it's like, okay, well, they didn't really need what they said they needed. Yeah. Maybe all these people are scamming and lying and whatever. But then I remember one time, I myself pulled up to a gas station. I was like, oh my goodness, my wallet. And it was like bad weather. And it was fixing to be like kind of a trek home. And I didn't know if I would even get home on the fumes. I was like, note to self, plan better. This was poor.
Keep
poor
a gift card in.
Yeah. You know. And, I did, though, find a checkbook in my or a check somewhere in my car, and the gas station wouldn't take it, but someone else heard my struggle with the cashier and bought me gas, and I just remember feeling so like just humbled that, oh man, those
almost like God saw what you did.
Yeah, like,
and then...
but also just that you know, don't think everybody is out to scam, or that, because I think I was a little bitter after that, like just sort of thinking, maybe not like roots of bitterness, like, you know, but just
I'm trying
like
to help
thinking,
you, and look at you.
Everyone's lying now. You can't
I
trust
can't
anyone.
trust you.
I'm so
He hopped in his
gullible.
Mercedes and took off.
But just that you never know. And sometimes even words of encouragement at a gas station. I remember someone saying one time, like, have you done or have you heard of like the candy bar ministry? And I was just like, what are you talking about? Just ask the cashier at the next like grocery store or whatever convenience store that you go to, what their favorite, you know, chips or candy bar, and then you buy it along with whatever, you know, you were going to buy anyway. And then just say, if you don't remember anything else from me today, just know that Jesus loves you, or that you're loved and seen, and he loves you.
And give them
candy. And then they're like, oh, this was for me? Thanks. You know, I just thought you were taking a poll of what's the most popular candy or something. But I just think there's little encouragements. You never know what someone else is going through that day. And it doesn't have to cost much. And it can still be something that they remember because it was unique and different and just out of the blue. Maybe they were just saying that day, like, oh, I hate my life. God, are you even out there? Like,
right, and then boom, that happens, you know.
This is weird, like, or you see someone and they have, you know, it could be really little, like, just seeing someone struggling with something. Maybe they I saw a lady holding her head, and then she had a headache, and I was like, well, you know, do you need a Kleenex? Or I happened to have like a little travel like thing of Kleenex, and because that's what she said she was looking for in her bag, and just like random acts of kindness, I think sometimes are really underrated. Because I remember people doing little things for me that they went out of their way. They spent time they didn't have to spend. They did things. They encouraged me, or just little things that can all be.
It's almost it's almost more about how you react to it than it is about the act of what you're doing. Almost like, I feel like that's what God looks at, is more, how's Cori going to react to this? How's BJ going to react to this? I'm going to allow the situation to come in, and and then you do it, and you don't see a reward, and you don't expect a reward, like you're saying, but then later something happens for you, you know. And
yeah, or they can help the next person, somebody
right.
you've never met or never will meet, but
right, you don't know the difference you're making. Yeah. Well,
yeah, I think God wants us to bring him into all aspects of our life, like our work, our finances, our homes, for sure. It shouldn't just be like a box you check on the weekend to go to church.
It's good to people today. I didn't beat my dog today. I didn't yell at anybody today.
I went to church, check.
I didn't try to run the guy off the road in traffic.
Which are all good things, and I'm not making light of any of that, for sure, but just that, we need to bring him into all aspects.
I agree with that. I totally agree. If we did that more, I think life would be better for a lot of us, you know. We definitely be kinder to each other, you know. I think people get too absorbed in their own world, and that's why they react the way they do, you know. I got to protect mine. I got to watch out for myself.
Well, because it's the enemy. I mean, I think he makes us all think there's not enough. Sometimes maybe being in a city also, I feel like maybe you feel like there's more competition for everything, or just that there's not going to be enough someday. Like,
right.
You know, and there really is, and even if there is trouble ahead, that God can help you through those tribulations. We're all dying. I think someone said, live your day like it's your last, and we can all think that, but really expecting that, we're really hoping that that's many years from now. But if you think about it, how would you spend your last day? A lot of people they'd be a lot more generous, they'd give more, and just a totally different mindset on a lot of things. Like, I feel like it would change us all to really believe it. And even here as I'm saying this, I need to hear it myself. Like, I really need to.
Yeah, you gotta, I definitely think that's right. You know, you gotta be, you know, pointing the finger at yourself when there's, you know, something you see that maybe you don't see right with the world, you gotta check myself first, And if you can do that, you're way better off. Humility goes a long way, and realize that, hey, I'm human. So,
Stop.
oh yeah, that's funny. So, can you tell us about someone in your life who's generous? That
Oh
you
my goodness.
like. I know you probably got several. So give me your top 2 or 3, that you think, or maybe start with the first one and then say, of course, just or whoever you would like, if you name some people,
Maybe my sister too, because I think just because I've been spending time with her recently, and
this is the sister I know, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's
hey, how you doing?
Hey, Cori.
Hey.
But I feel like she's a perfect example of someone that doesn't want to. That's humble, that doesn't want to toot their own horn, that doesn't like do it to be seen, but she does a lot of little things like here and there that you'd never know, and no one will ever know. God only knows, but you see that in her, and I love that generosity and just
that's cool.
Faithful with a little. And
she seemed like a cool person. Old Navy, that's where we worked together. Yeah. She seemed like a cool person. I worked with her, so.
And I think it just proves too, you don't have to be a millionaire. You don't have to be, wealthy by any means. Just a generous person.
That's cool.
And my husband is that way as well. He grew up really poor, but I think that.
What's your husband's name?
TK.
TK. Hey, TK.
TK.
Reaching out. Hey.
But he always.
Thanks for letting me borrow your wife.
For the interview, for sure. Just appreciate your time. It's a good thing you're doing to encourage others, and hopefully I didn't just ramble on, but actually said.
Oh no, I'm enjoying hearing some things you're talking
that can
about.
help someone else.
Yeah. So TK, what's one more person? You got one more person in there that you can think of that's very generous?
There's so many people that I've met, and like I said, you yourself, even just.
I appreciate that.
Giving of yourself, your time, your encouragement, giving that extra little bit that you didn't have to do. It wasn't part of the job requirement. It's just because you saw the need and you filled it, and you wanted to be good to others because you knew God had been good to you. And just pure intentions. No, you didn't want anything back. It's always.
It definitely wasn't the pay.
That's a lot of. But there's different reasons for everybody. There's different things. I mean, I even think of people that I work with that I admire because they go the extra mile. That, we're there because we're getting paid.
Right.
But they definitely do those extra little things that they didn't have to do. And so, and then that's in all lines of work. It takes everybody.
Yeah.
You just never know who you're. I remember actually, now that you said that you do deliveries, there was a recent story that I read that brought tears to my eyes because it was a lady saying, we're only supposed to bring the groceries up to the doorstep, not supposed to go in, but this person, I guess they were having a heart attack basically. And
wow.
She set the groceries on the counter. She's like, he was not looking well, and when he came to the door, he was not looking well. Like, she called or messaged the person who had sent her over there, which was the daughter. But anyway, long story short, he got the medical attention that he needed. But had she not, just felt like
that'd have been it for him. Wow.
Yeah, like she said something just told me to turn around. She's like, I should have just set the groceries right there in front of the door and left. But she's like, something told me like he's not well, something's wrong. Just spend a couple minutes, maybe break the rules. I'm not encouraging people to do bad things or break the rules at work, but also just sometimes things are on your heart and you're like, I can't go back later.
Well, I've discovered in that line of work, some people are just there for the money. They honestly, integrity goes out the window, or trying to, it's still, to me, I feel like even though, it is, you're just dropping groceries off, you still should treat people right, have integrity, it's still a job,
Sleep better at night.
You sleep better at night,
Well, and also treat people that when you expect service from someone, if a tip, if it's in your power to give a tip, give a little extra. It's not, if it's not gonna, especially if it's something you're like, oh, this was a treat, I have this little extra money, or I have, I spent, how many times have we just spent a little extra and it's like, I didn't even really need that. But how much better does it feel to give, because you you know, you appreciated someone else's service and you never know how they're being treated that day, and it might just be that little extra that they're like, I really needed that, you know. That,
yeah.
So
That
I always
does go
feel
on.
strongly about tips, and it wasn't just because I lived off of them for so long. But that was a good humbling experience. I felt like that was good for me, and I think everybody should experience that at some point. Maybe some point of service to others where you're expected to make a living that way, and it just feels like, you know, even when you know you're right and you have to bite your tongue because customer is always right or whatever. It's just like those are little. That's like self-control or you know, humility. I don't know other words that maybe your life lessons that you might be learning from it, but everyone should have to kind of experience that. I think they'd be a little more generous.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. Some people will say, you know, when I hear, I just have a cringe moment when I hear it when someone goes, and it just tells me what kind of person they are. Not, you know, I try not to be judgmental, but it automatically tells me, it reveals to me what kind of person they are when they go, you know, in regards to tipping. They're like, well, that's not my job, or like they work here, you know, they're getting paid to work here, or they know, you know, why do I have to tip?
Here's
you know,
a tip: find a better job.
Find a better job, you know, stuff like that. And in my mind, I'm like,
what did I do to you? I tried to.
I know, I did the best. I'm
right.
like, well, if you feel that way, you shouldn't go out to eat. You know, these people are bringing water to your food to your table. If you think about it, if you were looking on the out, you didn't know what food service was, and you were just a person observing, and you'd never seen anything like that, and someone was constantly bringing someone food and water, you would almost feel like, is that their slave or their servant? You know, and like, is that their butler? You would feel like that if you just saw it from the outside looking in. You know, that's how you would. So I mean, I believe that being kind. I've always believed the same way you do about
people
tipping.
Working outside.
Oh man,
or repair people, or anyone comes in, especially in Texas or these hot climates, like
offer
cold
water.
Or hot, go up and it's just water or Gatorade or whatever you have handy. It's not like, but those little things, it really is. Yeah, how we should treat each other.
Yep, I agree. I definitely think the tipping is a big thing. I know one place I always feel bad. I pick up deliveries from there. When I pick up delivery from Sonic, I always feel bad. I'm like, I gotta need a few dollars because they don't get paid for not picking those deliveries up. They're running out there getting the food to me. So I always feel like that, you know, just because, for one, when you tip and you are a tipper and you come back, I feel like you're going to get better service. So there is an advantage to it, you know, but I also feel like, you know, you shouldn't look at it just that way. But I feel like better service, the person's going to, you know, they're going to want to wait on you because they know you're going to be a generous person. And, you know, when they're going the extra mile, you know, why not give a little extra, like you're saying? What does it hurt? You're already out. You're spending so much money on this food already. What's $4 or $5 extra to the person that's, you know, helping you? So, so we're talking about, this is just, it's from an article that I read. So, we talk about, you know, we talk about the poor a little bit, and we talked about the wealthy. So with the wealthy, what do you think holds back wealthy people from being more generous?
Some wealthy. Well, and first
some
of all,
wealthy, yes, right. Not all wealthy.
I used to
Not all wealthy people are stingy.
There were wealthy people in the Bible. I think Job was wealthy. There was the different people that were mentioned throughout the whole Bible that did have that had a lot. So you know, there was like I think we had mentioned in a previous conversation about just thinking that you can, like, there's a verse that says if you seek to save yourself, you lose your life, and if you lose your life, something to the effect of basically I think you can take that in a lot of different ways, like losing your life in service, losing your physical life because you're just not worried about yourself. You're putting yourself even sometimes in, you know, dangerous situations to help others, but or that might potentially put you in danger. Not saying that we should all do that, but there are stories of people who've done that, and I do believe that they'll be rewarded in God's kingdom. But
yes,
and just their legacy, and who knows, maybe they were spared something down the road that was another really terrible event or some kind of suffering that is more merciful or something. I don't know. I'm thinking of somebody that pulled over to help out somebody who was stuck in a car in a wreck, and then they got hit themselves and lost their life. So their family, is grieving, and that person was, too young to lose their life, and they died doing something very, very selfless, very dangerous. But I don't know why that story in particular stuck out in my mind just now, but just things that where you feel like you have to save yourself. I think the thought sometimes is that the monetary system is going to go bad. Our
Gotta hold on to this money while I got it. Right. Yeah.
Maybe if I buy enough generators and a bunker and like I don't know if I had enough food and water and just seeking to say, and I even myself have thought about different things. Well, you should plan for the future. So I'm not saying don't do what little you can when you can and all that. And there's nothing wrong with having some extra, not just for yourself though, maybe potentially to help a neighbor or someone else also. But just I think maybe sometimes we just get more reliant on ourselves when we have a lot, because you think. But it can also be dangerous if you're, like, for example, I've heard that sometimes the poor will go gamble, and if you think about it, that's money that is in a closed system where, like, I think I heard it in a sermon from Rock Valley or somewhere that's money that someone else had to lose. So even if you win, does that really feel good? And you didn't work for it, so there is something lost there, even in the fact that you think, oh, I have all this now, or I have this little bit of wealth that it's still fleeting. It's still, no matter how much it is, it can be gone tomorrow. But
right, most of the time it does go back tomorrow because they go back.
But there's something about being like greedy. So that's not to say that they're rich or poor. That could really just be any of us.
So you think? Oh, yeah, you brought up a good thing that I read this once, is that actually they've had the thing where that you will find that sometimes poor people are more greedy than rich people for certain reasons, and which I thought, wow, that's kind of interesting, because they want to hold on to what little they have, and stuff. So
that was a good message also that someone shared once, that he basically got this job really being ripped off as a young man. He was getting, he commuted and he was getting all kinds of hours, but I think he only got like $180 a week or something. But he was diligent with a little. When he only had a little, he still gave to God. He still saved. And so even though he had very, very little, a lot of people told him quit that job. He learned valuable lessons from what I gathered. I hope I'm not
no, I mean, I've heard
or messing up the story, but
no, a mentor of mine that told me, father figure, mentor, a guy named Ray Matthews. We both know him, but he told me that if you can learn to work for free, there's so much value in it. And I thought, that's a weird thing, but I did. I mean, I did business for a while with him, and I worked for free. I mean, I was paying for people's meals, and trying to get them selling insurance, and I just remember meeting people, talking about how to get them out of financial freedom, and I gave information to them. It was a lot of presenting information with this company, and then insurance was kind of the byproduct of it. But yeah, I mean, the value of that when you learn to do things for free, and some people are like, I'll never work for free. But you don't learn. There's valuable lessons in that when you do things where you're not getting anything back. Like we've been talking about selfless stuff. When you're volunteering, you're not getting anything out of it except the feeling that I helped someone, and
well, and I used to struggle with, like, does it sound like I'm, like, doing this to brag if I had other people? But it was someone else telling me that they volunteered at a shelter that I was like, I didn't even really, I guess, so caught up in my own little world that I didn't realize there were these shelters, these emergency shelters for the kids that had been abused, that it was almost like modern-day orphanages. And I think he was a police officer that said that he'd worked a suicide. Like, there was a 17-year-old boy that they all lined up for the shower, and they had like 10 minutes or something. He'd overspent his time in there, and then they found him. And so I guess it just broke my heart. I couldn't stop thinking about the story, and I thought, whenever I think I'm having a bad day, somebody else somewhere is having a worse day than you.
Yeah.
And then his service kind of sparked something in me that, oh, I didn't even know that these places existed that long ago. Then I didn't even know that you could just volunteer. Like, I thought maybe it was like, I don't know where people find certain jobs or how, people get into the things that they get into sometimes. But I just really felt like that was God breaking my heart a little bit that day for the orphan and the widow, right? And he says that there's no pure religion. I think it's in James, that you keep yourself unspotted by the world. And to me, that just means that there's a lot of evil around us. That sometimes it comes in all different forms. You don't want to bring it into yourself or into your home. If you cannot at all get a bad feeling about it, stay close to the Lord, seek Him, and He'll protect you. But that, you know, to look after the orphan and the widow in their time of need. And I think there's a lot of really, really good examples in the Bible of that were inspiring to me. I know a lot of people don't believe the Bible is all true stories. Sometimes I think people think they were made up, but I don't think that it would have lasted these 2,000 some years, that so many people would have died for the word had there not been truth in it that they really wanted to preserve. Because I mean,
well, every 20 years you get some, you know, expert saying the Bible is going to fade out and that no one's going to believe it anymore. And then the next 20 years they say, and then the next 20 years someone's saying it, and it's just like, it's still here, you know. And so many things being discovered, things happening in our world that's starting to line up a lot where it's not only just faith anymore. It's like, oh, wait a minute, this is actually what it said in here, or
Genesis is history. I think there's actually a bunch of scientists and sorry, it's a little off topic, but it was more like scientists that were maybe kind of oust from their field, geologists, microbiologists, like all kinds of people from the scientific community that started to believe more that there is intelligent design, that the Bible isn't just stories, that there was a worldwide flood, that some of these things just it brings the Bible to life. There's actually, you know, geological and archaeological like,
there's
things
actually
that they're finding that I know we should live by faith, but
it's nice to have a little bit of that.
But it's also interesting, definitely an amazing documentary if you get a chance. There's sort of a shorter version, and there's like a whole series on it now. But.
Well, like Jesus said to Thomas, you know, blessed are those who don't see and believe, you know. But he also meant that, hey, he said, Thomas is like, well, I got to see him. I have to see him to believe that, you know, he came back from the dead. And Jesus is like, okay, I'm cool with that. And he shows up, you know. And so I think God's like, I'm going to show you that it's real in the world. From historical things are going to happen, and you're going to find, you know, evidence like them finding the chariots in the bottom of the Red Sea and all this stuff they're starting to find now, bones of giants, and they're discovering things now. It's like the believers are like, well, we already knew. I mean, you know, now you're just finding this stuff. It's being discovered, and then they're hiding stuff too. You know, there's some of that stuff going on too. But if you didn't want something to be discovered, you'd hide it. So, but yeah. So, let's see. Working our way down these questions. I love your answers to some of these questions. It's really good because we're going on a different path with some of the questions, which I like. So, so here's some, you know, pretty pointed questions. Try to work these. How do you handle people that try to take advantage of your generosity? I think you might have told me a little bit at the gas station, a little bit of some of that stuff, but how do you handle it? So you're being generous to someone, and then they come in and they're taking advantage of your generosity. And maybe you honestly don't care because you're just like, well, I'm doing this not even for myself. I'm just doing it because I want to help them.
It's a tough one. It is still an opportunity. So I guess I just feel like you should not get bitter. So if you feel like you're being scammed or someone's really trying to take advantage of you, they're trying to meet needs themselves too, and maybe a void that they can't even explain, or it is something beyond just their physical need, that they need food or shelter, or maybe there is a spiritual element there and they're testing you. Or just don't become discouraged about giving, because I feel like one time I was at I think it was like a Popeyes or something, and there was I didn't expect it. It scared me. There was someone come to the corner of my van and like asked me for food if I could buy her something to eat, and she said, you know, my kids are just down the road and we're all hungry and that kind of thing. And so even though I didn't really, I thought, you know, to myself, first of all, I just didn't believe her at first. I guess it's just something I don't know.
Something
Although
off
I don't
about it?
remember the details.
Yeah.
But then I thought, you know what? This is still a hungry person asking for food. Uh, whether I believe everything that she's telling me right now or not, just it doesn't matter. Somebody that needs, maybe she needs encouragement, and that's what she really needs. And so it was weird. The line usually just kind of moves, but it was really slow. So then I was like, well, can I pray for you and your kids? And so it was really God breaking my heart, because normally I just wanted to roll up the window. It was hot. I just wanted to
Gotta get
go
out of
about
here.
my way. Like,
Right.
I was already kind of just doing something I already felt guilty about what I was doing anyway. With fast food place again. But yeah, sometimes those are, I feel like, hidden opportunities that you have to really, who knows, there was something maybe she needed to hear or be encouraged that day, and it didn't have anything to do with the food. It was
Right.
just, don't be discouraged.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Also, though, I had a nursing instructor tell me once, she said, you have to take care of yourself in order to be good for anyone else.
Right.
You can't take care of anyone else if you don't take care of yourself first. So give yourself permission to take breaks. Give yourself...
You have to fill your cup up so it can overflow to help other people, yeah.
That's a very good... I saw that in a break room once, like something about you can't pour from an empty cup, and I just remember thinking, like, that's so true.
Yeah, that is. Well, yeah. Yeah, I think, when I ask you that question, I mean, automatically comes to my mind the word boundaries. You set some boundaries with people. But sometimes, even when you have your own boundaries, sometimes your heart moves you to go past it. And you're like, I know this is what's going to happen, but I'm going to reach out a little further. Maybe I can help that person, maybe. But you definitely need them, You definitely need to, because, you don't want to give away your mortgage payment if that's not what the Lord has put on your heart to do, You see so many people, they get upset, well, this ministry stole the money and they're giving all their rent away. But I'm like, oh, yeah, these people did it. They did it willingly themselves. Yeah. They gave it. But also at the same time, you never know what, in those situations, what good can come out of it. Sometimes good can come out of that situation. So.
Yeah, my parents set a good example there. I felt like they were generous, but also what you just mentioned, I think my dad was kind of like, that church that we went to for years, and then you saw these big things that they spent money on, but like you said, maybe some people were really helped there. That, hey, you know what? It was given. Don't carry that, like,
right. Don't
all that. Back to forgiveness. It's just
I mean, it was a ministry I gave to for years. I used to send money to them in the mail. My mom would just be like, "You're giving him that," and why are you giving this money to this guy? How do you know this money? And he would send me like prayer cloths, and he would send me like items in the mail, and we're praying for him, blessings, and all these little, words that he felt like the Lord wanted to share with me. And I don't know if it's real or not, but to me, I always told her, it turns out years later, the dude was just taking people's letters and throwing them in the trash and taking the money out. So he was not a good minister. But I told her, I said, Mom, I gave to God. And that's the way I looked at it. I gave because I felt like it was something I was supposed to do at the time. And it helped me and it blessed somebody. Maybe it didn't bless anybody, but at the same time, it wasn't even to this guy. It just felt like it was something I was supposed to do. And it helped me, if anything.
Maybe his kids inherited it and did good things too.
Yeah, maybe something happened good out of it, I mean, it was kind of sad when I heard he was just throwing those away, but I mean, at the same time, I didn't keep giving. As soon as I found out, I was like, well, I'm not going to do that anymore,
Yes.
What's up? All right, let's see. Things I wanted to ask. So I know you're a giving person. So, I mean, obviously, I've seen that, your generosity, and you've explained why you give and some of the reasons and stuff. So here's the other question. This is always the question with someone who's giving. How good are you receiving?
Yeah, I think that is important. I'm glad that you brought that up, because I did have like a really big, maybe I was doing some things like trying to be generous, and because it feels good, you want to keep doing it. And I had someone tell me one time I was buying her lunch, and she said, no, I said I was going to buy it this time. And she's like, why do you always do that? And then I guess I had sort of forced my card in front of hers or something. when we went back to the table, she kind of still stayed like upset about it, and I was like, oh, it's just lunch, and she goes, well, why do you do it? And I said, well, it makes me feel good, and I guess I felt like, and she's like, well, don't rob someone else of that opportunity as well.
I've heard that too, yeah.
So then it just kind of did make me start thinking about it differently. Like sometimes it isn't about a need. Like it is a gift, and but also I think we went to a Michael Jr. He's like a comedian, but a Christian comedian or whatever. He said, I'm going to do something crazy today, and he has books and t-shirts and whatever out in the lobby. So at intermission, he said, I want you to do something that God laid on my heart. He said, if you feel like you have trouble being generous, I want you to buy something for yourself and buy something for someone else and just leave it there at the counter. If you have trouble receiving, I want you to go to the table and say, I'd like a book, a t-shirt, whatever. And so, struggling all the way up to because there were like 3 options now. That's a long time ago. I don't remember exactly, but I want to say you could you want to look at a different video. So, I guess I was struggling all the way up to because it seems like you could be generous and buy something for someone else. You could just buy something for yourself because if you couldn't decide, and then you could ask for something if you had trouble receiving. But it did force me to think that, hey, that is something too that you have to be able to in life sometimes be able to receive as well. Because I know some people talk about the love languages, and I guess some people feel more like they're giving of themselves and their money and their time and their energy and all that is their love language. It's how they show love. But
right.
But that might be someone else's way of showing love too. So, cake video.
Yep. Yeah, I think the receiving is so important. I mean, yeah, and of course, some people receive too much, and it's all they want to do is receive. It's all about balance. It's all about balance, It's all about getting. I know that we've talked about with my nephew and niece about for Christmas. We've talked about this Christmas we're going to do. We're going to find a family to bless. They said, I'm going to get you a gift. It's just going to be one simple gift. It's going to be something more from the heart. It may not be expensive at all, but we're going to bless another family. And my mom my mom's going to be on it. And, you can see that the kids are they're kind of like, oh, I'm not going to give any presents this year. But really, they need to see that, hey, sometimes the best gift you give is giving, But yeah, I think receiving's a big thing too. And I heard one of my friends say once, a guy was always, this guy was doing things for him, and he would always just be like, well, I want to help you. I want to do this for you. And the guy's like, hey, man, it's called thank you. Just say it. And he's like, thank you. And he's like, see, I did this for you because I wanted to help you. And all you got to do is say thank you, That's it. So I thought that was an important lesson learned, that sometimes we have to receive,
Yep.
A good balance, as you were saying, giving and receiving, So we all like gifts. Every one of us like gifts. I mean, can't get away from it. But
Goodness.
All right, so I think we talked about this, but about the most generous person being your sister. One of the most generous people being your sister in your life, and you talk about your husband. He's also very generous. Your parents, yeah, throwing your parents in there, in there. What about friends? You have a friend that you think is pretty generous? Some friends that you're like, wow. I mean, besides me, yeah. You have some other friends in your life that you're like.
I feel like so blessed just because I feel like so many people have been placed in my path or along the path in life, and we don't always keep in touch. Sometimes you lose touch with people, but just the amount of generous and giving people that I feel like I've had the blessing of knowing, and just it's inspiring. I mean, even talking about adoption or foster. I remember seeing a movie, Mully, I think it's Mully. Have you ever heard of it?
I don't know if I've seen that.
Anyway, he was an orphan, but his life is just a true testimony, a real miracle. He saved. I don't want to ruin the whole movie if someone else wants to see it, but it's just him saving hundreds of other orphans in Kenya, and it's
Hmm.
it's got its sad points and happy points and almost funny, but it's a real emotional film, but it is a true story, and I feel like it's a testimony of what God can do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's this woman that he worked for, and he would beg for food and things, and like his family just left him and abandoned him. But
Wow.
but there was a lady that gave him a job. She paid him a good wage or whatever to work for her, and that's how he met his wife. And that woman's kindness, though, I felt like, just think about what she did. All she did was pay someone to do some labor. And they, him and his wife met that way. They were both working for this lady, but then they've gone on to do such amazing things for other people. So I guess you have to see it. I can't describe it. But
Yeah,
anyway.
it sounds like a good movie. Sounds like very moving.
Don't ever feel like you're too small or it's too little. It's not that much or whatever. It's a lot of little things.
Well, and I had a friend who wrote a song that was talking about people sometimes feel like they got to be this, if you, in regards to like Christianity, they feel like I got to be a great minister. I got to reach the world. I got to do this. But it's like we all have different jobs, and flourish where you're planted. Don't ever feel like you're not doing enough or you're not enough and stuff like that. And some people feel like that's the way they are. But really, it's like he didn't create everybody to be this or that. He has a certain role for you to fulfill. And
hands and feet, right?
Hands and feet. You're an elbow. You may be a hand. You may be a nose.
And even if you feel like you're a butt, no, I'm just kidding. We all have a purpose.
We all have a purpose, right?
No, but that was a bad joke. But
No,
sometimes
no,
you feel so inadequate. You feel like your life. Was there anything to be proud of? And just keep going. Keep everything. God can use even what was bad for something good someday. And sometimes there's people that you need to go apologize to, and there's things that you just need to just pray that God, made it okay, that you can't go back and
to learn from it, to grow from it. Yep.
And maybe you can help someone else keep from making that same mistake. I'm sitting here talking about generosity, but I definitely, I'm a sinner. I've made mistakes. I definitely have. But you try to grow from it. You try to learn and keep moving on. Don't just be stuck in your sadness and your shame and not move on and not keep at it.
Growing is the key. To always be growing, always trying to be better. Yeah.
Yes.
So, I only have one question for you, one more. So, and then you feel free to, if you feel like something else that you want to talk about it was on your heart, as a cat walks, the orange cat around here. So we talked about, friends, family, generosity, how it mixes with faith. And so who do you think, is the most, in your opinion, who do you think is the most generous person ever? I think I probably know this answer.
Well, Jesus gave his life for us. What more could we do? Like, you can never, I guess I just feel like if you think that you've given everything, think about, Jesus was innocent, he was sinless, and he came to the earth to show us that God does love us, that this all just couldn't be for nothing, that there is a God and he does see you, and he works outside of time and space. So I feel like that's the hardest part in this life, is that we can't see beyond ours and other people's suffering sometimes, because it says a day is 1,000 years and 1,000 years is a day. That's how I think about it. Time works differently for God. So maybe this, in the bleep of eternity, this is just a bleep. Like, maybe somewhere in the distance you wouldn't appreciate what is good and perfect and right. Like, I guess this is a really cheap example, but I always think of like a beautiful day outside. But if you'd never been cold and you'd never been hot, how would you even appreciate it? You just wouldn't know any different, and you wouldn't know that it was
a beautiful day outside.
I know. So I guess, like, I think God wants us to work. It's not about all work and no rest, and it's not about all rest and no work either. Like, I think a lot of times a lot of things get unbalanced in life, but God wants us to work. He wants us to also rest and enjoy our lives and to take good care of ourselves and others and just do the very, very best we can until his return, to stay strong even when things get really bad, either if it's just our life or the community. It could be a community disaster or a fire or a death, or, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, I say this now and there isn't a fresh tragedy on my mind, so I guess some people say, well, easy for you to say, I've gone through this, but I hope I can keep it in mind even when there's something really, really, really terrible. But is there anything too hard for God? He overcame the grave, and he can resurrect us. So there's people that testify that the first person that I told you about, Tabitha in the Bible, she was actually resurrected right then and there in the Bible. So there's people that saw her come back to life, that wanted that recorded in history forever. And the fact that he doesn't continuously do it for us now, I feel like it's just, everything is like a test. I don't feel like God tempts us with bad things. He says that he doesn't do that, so the devil does tempt us with bad things, but just to keep doing good and act like no one's watching, because someone is always watching. God is always watching us.
Right.
And it's more rewarding, I think. Someone who didn't believe in God at all told me at least I can look myself in the mirror at the end of the day, because I wondered why would they act with integrity or have
what would motivate them?
Yeah, like sometimes maybe I mean, I think of rewards and punishment. A lot of the, just the motivation sometimes, if I'm being honest, is like kind of a rewards versus punishment, or but yeah, they said that just that they don't feel good about themselves, so when you do bad. So I mean, I think God put a conscience in us. It can get seared, but I think that there are those feelings, those tugs that that you're like, okay, this is, just don't ignore them. Keep listening to your conscience too, and not your heart, because it says that the heart, does, we don't always want what's good.
Right.
We fight against that human nature sometimes, and
well, like your friend who doesn't believe said, at least I can look at myself in the mirror and feel good about it, But how much more us that do believe, that we have more than that, We have that, like you said, God. You believe. I knew the answer you were going to give me to that question, because I've known you for a few years now, 3 years, 4 years now. So I knew your answer was going to be that. And I agree with that. I think that, as far as generosity, I mean, there's no one in history that could be that generous, or do. I mean, that he came down. He didn't even have to, It said at any point he could have left the cross and called, he said 10,000 angels, 20,000 angels to come and deliver him, and wiped everybody out and said, I'm getting off this cross. But he didn't. And he chose to make that choice, and so that we could have forgiveness and we could have, a life.
Mediator, for sure.
Mediator, yep. Have love, generosity in our lives. Which was a good topic today, generosity.
Yes. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your valuable time.
You are welcome. I'm so glad that Cori shared today. Like I said, I can just tell she doesn't want to get all the attention when it comes to certain things. She wants, from what she shared, that it's not in life. It's not all about me. And if you do live a life of me, it's most of the time it's not a very pleasant life.